Right, this is the last chapter, chapter 10, Just Desserts. And TG and Granny have come to see how much you like the end of the story. The Crystal Lady majestically stood up and swept over to TG, holding her hands out to him. Thank you so much for saving me, TG. You had a difficult task, but I always knew you could do it. You are my very own superhero, the phyto-powered kid. She gently turned him to face all the people in the room. Now, for the very final part of your mission, you must prove to us all that you have truly understood the great importance of phytopower. Then she went back and sat down, leaving him standing alone. Oh, flip. TG had thought it was all over, but now he had to stand in front of all these enemies and bullies and tell them what he'd learnt. Raising his eyes, TG looked out at all the faces now scowling up at him. The cabin boy stuck out his tongue. Wild Jill Hiccup shook her fist. Suddenly, he didn't feel nervous. He had phytopower inside him. Taking a deep breath, he lifted his chin, pulled back his shoulders and began to speak. I've learnt so much I hardly know where to begin. He glanced back at Granny G, who nodded enthusiastically. I can see now that I was eating and drinking all the wrong things. It was making me ill and bad-tempered. But now I've tried fruit and vegetables. I really like them. They are full of valuable vitamins and minerals that help to keep you fit and well. They also help to keep your insides nice and clean. Well done, TG, laughed the warriors. TG didn't know what to say next and suddenly felt very self-conscious and uncomfortable. Have you learnt anything else? Prompted Saffron. He thought for a moment. Oh yes, I've learnt that too much sugar is not a good idea as it makes you fat and has no goodness in it. As he said this, he looked at Candy Floss right in the eye, pointing to the basket of fruit and vegetables. Perhaps if you'd eaten more of these and less sugar, you might not keep having your sweetie times. Oh, sweetie man, how could you? Candy Floss cried as she buried her face in her hands. TG turned to the fast food fiend. And you shouldn't put so much fat and grease into your meals. It isn't fair to children who eat them. You don't even try to put fruit and veg on your menu. Look at you. You're much too fat. You get out of breath really easily. If you carry on this way, you'll end up having a heart attack. I'd be worried about you if you were my dad. The fiend's face went very red, as if he was about to explode. You cheeky little whippersnapper! How dare you! I'll get you for this! He took a step towards the platform, but the warriors turned their phytojets towards him, and he backed away. TG looked amongst the crowds until he found Billy the Burp standing with his gang, looking very cross and agitated. I've also seen that many brightly coloured drinks, especially fizzy ones, have artificial colourings and additives that aren't good for anyone. They can make sensitive people like me hyperactive, so we don't think straight or concentrate properly. I hope you'll realise that too, Billy, and the rest of your gang. Then you might not have so many fights. And pigs might fly, jeered Billy smugly, laughing with his gang. Well, more fool you, Billy, retorted TG, and Billy just looked at the floor. Where's Davy? Asked TG. I feel really let down by him. Oh, there you are. You're probably the worst of all. I thought you were my friend and would help me be a winner. Instead, you just hid all the things I shouldn't have in food that I thought were going to be good for me. Those chips you gave me said they were low fat, but they weren't, were they? Well, it depends how you look at it. They were lower than lots of others, sneered the captain. Yeah, but they still had too much fat to be healthy. You hid loads of salt in your food as well. You knew I didn't know about that. I didn't understand. But now I do. You won't trick me like that again. Not with salt, fat, sugar or additives. The captain just snorted. But do you know what, TG continued? It was you that made me realise I have to think for myself and stand up for what I believe in. That means now I'm the winner and you're the loser. The warriors cheered. TG looked back at the Crystal Lady. I'm so glad I managed to save you. I've got faith in myself now. I know I've only learnt a little, but I want to learn more. I want to help other children understand how important healthy eating is and be able to use phytopower to give them energy. When I get back home, I'm going to eat better and then I will be able to concentrate in school and I won't get ill so often. I shan't let hateful Henry upset me anymore. If he calls me Goldilocks, I'll ignore him. I like my hair just as it is. I do too, said Wild Jill. Ouch! Why you done kick me, Billy? TG laughed and went on. Because I'll feel better, I'll be able to exercise more, and I'll be able to join in the other boys' games like football and basketball, and I'll be able to enjoy my lessons. Mrs. Wolfbaiter won't get cross with me, and my life will be so much happier. That's very true, TG, beamed Granny G. Go on, you're doing really well. I've actually enjoyed learning my lessons. When I grow up, I want to find out more about healthy food. I would be really cool if I could become a famous chef and make healthy meals for children so they can grow up strong and healthy. The Crystal Lady, the warriors and Granny G cheered and clapped their hands. The rest of the room stood fidgeting and muttering to themselves. Standing up and coming over to TG, the Crystal Lady put her hand on his shoulder. Turning to Captain Reckless, the Fiend, Candyfloss and Billy the Burp, she said in her firm, clear voice, You have all tried to destroy phytopower by encouraging children to forsake fruit and vegetables and healthy eating. You have tricked them into believing that they can eat junk food and sweets all the time and still remain energetic and healthy. She shook her head sadly. In the past I have not been able to get you all together, but now, thanks to TG, here you all are. It's the end for us, screeched Candyfloss, throwing her arms over her head. Raising her arm, the Crystal Lady smiled a knowing smile. No, not the end, Candyfloss, just the beginning. Then she turned to the warriors. Full phytopower now, she commanded as she brought down her arm. The warriors skillfully aimed their phytojets into the room. At once everyone was bathed in a bright sparkling rainbow light, making them stand still as statues. The light danced around, the beams swirling like mini tornadoes, enveloping each and every person in the room. The tornadoes spun faster and faster until they merged to become pure white light. The whole room sparkled like a diamond. It was so brilliant, TG had to close his eyes. After a moment, Sky said quietly, It's okay, TG, you can open your eyes now. TG looked out into the room. Everyone was still frozen.